Have you ever heard that story? That vicious little voice in your head that shows up the moment a setback feels like the end of the world? That moment where shame and exhaustion wash over you and the only thing you want to do is quit? Today, we're talking about how to silence that voice and rewrite that story. And we're going to get some help from a tiny squirrel who was absolutely ready to give up. How did Rue get here, broken and despairing at the bottom of this tree? It all started with a promise. At the very top of the tallest oak in the forest was a golden acorn, a local legend, said to shimmer with the light of 1,000 suns. Rue's grandmother, who used to tell her stories of its magic, was ailing. Her light was fading, and Rue had promised her she'd bring it to her, hoping its impossible magic would make her feel better. This promise wasn't just a task, it was her entire world. Her first attempt was fueled by pure, unfiltered confidence. She shot up the trunk, fast and agile. But about halfway up, she got impatient. She saw a shortcut, a thick, dangling vine, and went for it. It was thrilling, a daring aerial maneuver for a moment, and then, snap. The vine gave way, and she tumbled through the air, landing hard. And here's where it began, that quiet little voice, just a whisper at first.
Okay, that was stupid. But it was just bad luck. The vine broke. That wasn't me. Next time.
At this point, the story in her head was still small, still fixable, just one bad break. The second time, she was all business.
No shortcuts. Just pure strength, branch by methodical branch.
She climbed with grim determination, but the higher she got, the fiercer the wind blew, whistling past her ears. A sudden, violent gust caught her completely off guard. The branch, slick with morning dew, offered no grip, and she fell all over again. And now, that little voice got a little louder, a little meaner. With every fall, the story changed. It stopped being about the vine or the wind. It started becoming about her. That's how it snowballs the setbacks. Stop being things that happen to you and start becoming things that are wrong with you.
Twice. That's twice now. Maybe I'm just not built for this. The good climbers don't fall. They make it look easy. What's wrong with me?
Which brings us to her third try, her final, desperate leap, the one where she could almost taste, and that's when she broke, not just her spirit, but something deeper. She curled into a tight, miserable ball, the promise to her grandmother now feeling like a crushing, impossible weight. By now, the little whisper had become a roar, and it had completely taken over.
This is my story. This is all I am. I'm the squirrel who couldn't. I'm the squirrel who failed her. I failed.
That's the trap. One snapped vine, one gust of wind, one tired leap. 3 separate moments, but her mind had stitched them together into one big, ugly conclusion. I am a failure. She let the pain and the hot shame wash over her, believing this was the definitive end. The story was written. It was a tragedy, and she was its failed hero. Just as Rue was about to be completely swallowed by her own sad story, a gentle, low voice cut through the silence.
That's a very sad story you're telling yourself, Rue. But are you sure it's the only one you have to tell?
Rue looked up, blinking away tears. Perched on a nearby branch was her friend, a dog named Kogi. His large, kind eyes seemed to see right into Rue's heavy heart.
It's not a story. It's what happened. I tried and I failed 3 times. The end. Go away.
The end of your energy, perhaps. But the end of the story? I'm not so sure. Is it failure, little one, or is it practice? When a forest pup learns to cross the creek, does she stumble once and decide the stream is not for her?
I'm not a pup. I'm a failure.
She slips on the stones. She wades and splashes and gets her paws muddy. She learns where the current is gentle, which stones hold, how to lean into the flow. She learns that water can be crossed with caution and practice. Your fall isn't the whole story. It's just a plot point. A very dramatic one, I'll grant you.
Rue fell silent. The sting of failure was still too fresh, too raw to think about anything else. But inside, for just a second, a tiny crack appeared in the story.
A plot point? No, he doesn't get it. 3 falls isn't a plot point. It's the whole book. Isn't it?
What you have, Rue, isn't a finished story of failure. What you have is a really, really good first draft. Let's look at your draft. Your first attempt. What did you learn?
That I'm an idiot for trusting a vine.
No, you learn that speed without awareness is dangerous. That shortcuts can be traps. That's chapter 1. What about the second time?
That the wind is mean and the branches are slippery.
You learn that brute strength alone isn't enough to overcome the elements. That preparation matters. That's chapter 2. And this last time?
I learned that I'm just not strong enough to finish.
You learned that leaping for the finish line when you are exhausted doesn't work. That's chapter 3. Do you see? This isn't a story about a squirrel who failed. This is a story about a squirrel who is gathering important, vital information.
Something shifted inside Rue. For the first time, she replayed those 3 falls in her head, but not as proof she was broken.
Wait. The vine, the wind, the jump, those weren't all the same. Those were 3 different things. 3 different lessons?
This shift in perspective is a process therapists call reauthoring. It's where you consciously take the events you've labeled failure and find a new, more empowering story to tell about them.
Great stories aren't just written, they're rewritten. You haven't failed, you've just discovered 3 ways that won't work. A famous inventor once tried to create a light bulb. It took him thousands of tries. He later said, "I didn't fail, I just found a few thousand ways that won't work." Your story isn't over.
For the very first time since that final fall, Rue felt a tiny, fragile flicker of hope. The story wasn't finished. She was still holding the pen.
So, how do I rewrite it? What do I do now?
Every great author has their tools. For this kind of rewrite, you need 3. First, try a new way. You've tried fast and you've tried strong. What if the answer isn't more effort, but different effort? You look for a new path, a hidden door, a different strategy. What have you seen in this forest that you haven't used?
Rue thought for a long moment, her eyes scanning the forest around her. The voice in her head had changed jobs. Instead of telling her what was wrong with her, it had started looking for answers.
Okay. Think. Not what I can't do. What's here? What have I seen? Well, there are woodpeckers. I've seen them pecking small holes into the trunks of trees. They make their own perfect handholds as they go up.
An excellent observation. Now for the second tool. Ask for help. You see this promise as a burden that only you can carry.
It is. I'm the one who promised her. It's my job.
Is a forest strong because one tree stands alone against the storm? Or is it strong because the roots of all the trees are tangled together underground, holding each other up? Asking for help isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's finding someone who has a map for the part of the journey you've never been on.
All this time I thought asking for help meant I wasn't good enough. But maybe it just means I'm not alone.
And third, and this is the most important one, rest, don't quit. When you're tired, frustrated, and hurt, your brain lies to you. It gets confused. It tells you that exhaustion is failure. Eat a nut. Take a nap. A real commitment isn't about burning yourself out. It's about being smart enough to refuel so you can actually finish the race.
Rue looked around and saw other animals with skills and strengths she'd been too focused on her own struggle to notice before. Armed with Kogi's wisdom, Rue rested. She found a plump acorn she'd buried weeks ago and ate it slowly. She curled up in a patch of soft moss and slept. And as she drifted off, the story in her head finished its transformation. She rewrote her story from "I am a failure" to "I am a student of this challenge." The next morning, she didn't go to the tree alone. She found a woodpecker, a stern-looking female with a sharp beak.
Excuse me? I have a favor to ask. I need to climb the great oak, and I need help. Could you peck a series of small holds for me along the trunk?
The great oak? That's a tall order. What's in it for me?
Half of my entire winter stash of nuts and berries.
The woodpecker's eyes widened. She agreed. Next, Rue found a garden spider whose large, intricate web glistened nearby.
Your web? It's the strongest in the forest. I need to climb through the windiest part of the tree. Could you spin a tough safety line for me?
A challenge! To weave a line strong enough for a squirrel against the sky wind? It will be my masterpiece.
She also agreed. This time, Rue climbed not with frantic speed or brute force, but with calm, strategic purpose. She used the woodpecker's freshly pecked holds for secure footing. She felt the wind pick up high on the trunk, but the spider's thick silk line was there, a reassuring guide that gave her the confidence to keep going. And the voice in her head? It was finally on her side. She reached the final branch. This time, she wasn't exhausted or desperate. She was ready. She took a deep breath, and with one powerful, focused leap, she landed perfectly. The golden acorn was hers. When Rue finally stood before her grandmother with the shimmering prize, she smiled, her eyes looking brighter than they had in weeks.
Oh, Rue, it's beautiful. But the real magic is the story I see in your eyes. You look taller. Tell me everything.
The real magic wasn't in the acorn. It was in the story she could now tell. It wasn't a short, sad tale about a squirrel who failed. It was an epic saga about a squirrel who fell, learned, asked for help, and found a new way forward. She had rewritten her story, and in doing so, she had become its hero. The story you tell yourself about your setbacks is one of the most powerful forces in your life. A failure is only a final failure if you decide that's the end of the story. You always have the power to turn the page, to reframe that failure as a lesson, and to see it as the exact moment your real journey truly began. So the next time you feel that crushing weight of, I quit, remember Rue. Remember Kogi's advice. Try a new way, ask for help, and please, rest, don't quit. You are the author. Your story is far from over. Now go pick up your pen,